Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the New Fashion Conservatives podcast and happy May. I'm Justin Phillips, and with me is someone who spent the entire day applying for internships at J.P. Morgan, the man known to the X-verse as Shadow Governor Voss.
Robin Voss's strongest soldier.
Thank you for making April our best month on record. We are so thankful to all the new listeners. I didn't think when I put out this little post on X thanking us, they're thanking you for our past month, that it would actually kind of go viral on its own. So we have picked up several new, and I mean hundreds of new downloads, hundreds of new followers on X.
There are dozens of us. Dozens of us.
There are. And so let's just reintroduce ourselves real quick so you guys know who we are. And to let you all know, the Shadow Gov and I have been working in Wisconsin politics and been political junkies for a long time now. I got my start in politics interning for this guy running for Milwaukee County Executive named Scott Walker in 2008, and he ran against everyone's favorite Lena Taylor. I've worked since then in dozens of political campaigns, state assembly, state senate, and local level, county level. And that's not counting the ones where I just go volunteering for a long weekend, knocking doors, or spending time with candidates. I worked on legislative politics at the state capitol and in economic development for the state. And the Shadow Gov has been Robin Voss's strongest soldier since COVID times.
2022, probably.
Yeah. So we're here to give you this semi-insider look at state politics in Wisconsin, explain the intricacies of the legislature, campaigns, state party, what to, cut the signal through the noise, and give you the, long form interviews in a way that will help you become a more informed, better understanding voter, and give it all with a few laughs along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, this is the Wisconsin political podcast,
Yeah.
We love our fellow conservatives that give a lot of good content.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're in a unique position where we're just a podcast. Mark Belling, he's a podcast too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, Mark Belling's been around for, a long, long time. Yeah. But I think maybe not trying to toot our horn too much, but I think we're trying to pioneer a different lane. And, if you don't see someone, or, what's that saying that goes like, if you see a problem, it's best just to do it yourself type of thing. Like, yeah. And we kind of just thought, well, no one else is doing it.
Exactly.
Now, there are a lot of other people doing stuff now, which is good. Mm-hmm. We welcome that. But this is still a very, very new scene. So, yes, thank you to the dozens of us that have joined.
It's been super cool to see all of the new listeners and followers on X. And I do promise we will start following back all of they've come in so quickly. I haven't had a chance to go through them all, but thank you for joining us here. And so I think if we're going to start this one out, we got to talk about the one man who's really been sucking up a lot of the content for the past week, like straight through his nose. Kirk Bangstad, who, we almost reacted live when we were recording the podcast last week with our good friend Jay's opinions about him saying that, we almost had free beer day in reference to the White House Correspondents' Dinner attempted assassination. And in the past week, he has doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on his trolling and deplorable behavior, including doxing Secret Service agents, and again, just doubling down on being a terrible person. So, Shadow Gov, you wanna?
Yeah, well, a couple things. We've kind of belabored the point that Kirk Bangstad is just a bad person, and even so much that some top Democrats have thrown him under the bus. Mm-hmm. Even Francesca Hong, who maybe has to think with a little bit of a political, she can't just say the most crazy things and then expect to win a general election. But she has been, she threw him under the bus for the comments on Free Beer Day. Sounds like Mandela Barnes also did the same thing. Mm-hmm. And that's easy to do. That's easy if you're at the front runner. But Kelda Royce has held out. It seems like. And even Kirk Bangstad said, well, we're considering throwing our weight behind Kelda Royce.
So he was the one who complained about the fact that, quote unquote, corporate Dems and naive.
Which I wouldn't consider Francesca Hong.
But no, he considers her naive.
Yeah.
And too stupid, apparently, to understand that, he is the hero in this story and not someone who should be thrown under the bus. And that's why he said he's going to get support from Kelda, or he's considering supporting Kelda Royce. Now, we're talking about one thing about Kirk Bangstad's latest endeavor. I wrote earlier in this week, I believe, at the Heartland Post, a whole list of things he's done that's been terrible. And I'm not talking about just the civil defamation judgment he's had, or the ongoing zoning and permit battles he's had with the Oneida County and Town of Minocqua boards. I'm talking about stuff going back to when he ran for assembly in 2020 and accused Al Swearingen of murder by proxy because of someone who was working at his restaurant, contracted COVID, gave it to her husband. Her husband unfortunately passed away. Now, the family did not blame Rob Swearingen, Al Swearingen being the guy from Deadwood. But he owns the Algen. That's where I'm getting confused. But again, that happened later. The Algen burned down. Kirk Bangstad was immediately accusing him of setting the fire to collect insurance money. So again, this goes back 2020. It goes back even further than that. His first wife died of cancer, unfortunately, in 2018. But during that time, he actually wrote a blog post blaming her and her cancer and treatment for why he was unfaithful to his wife. So Kurt has been a terrible person for going on nearly a decade now, if not longer. This is the stuff we've been able to document. And so this latest thing, though, has gotten him in a lot of trouble. So he did get a visit from the Secret Service and the FBI last week.
So.
Yeah, for his comments. And they asked some fairly basic questions that I think they ask anyone who has a comment or a Facebook post or
an incentive to try to get someone to kill the president. But as anyone would hope that the Secret Service would do. But the problem comes that Kirk Bangstad is a schizophrenic. And I don't say that I say that with a little bit of hyperbole, but I think mainly it's just him grifting, but there is maybe a little bit of schizophrenia or some kind of mental unwellness. Mm-hmm. When he got word that the Secret Service was going to come up to the Minocqua Brewing Company location to ask him some questions, he put out a little Substack blast where he's basically like, guys, I'm not in fear. I am of sound body and mind, basically implying that they're going to kill me.
Right.
And, he said, I encourage supporters to come if you can to make sure they don't do anything to me. If you don't hear from our socials tonight, something is wrong. I'm of sound body and mind. I am in no way thinking of harming myself. If you don't hear back from me tonight, don't believe a thing that you hear from the federal government about what happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Just wild conspiracy. That's tinfoil hat stuff.
Insane. This is not. It's a fine line between schizophrenia and how can I maximize getting money? Because you have to know that this is obviously our algorithms are being fed.
Mm-hmm.
His algorithm is going to be fed, which means it goes straight to the website, straight to the buy the Biden ale right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did say that if he gets carried away in handcuffs, he'll be able to fund his newest beer called No Bail Ale,
or
which
don't drop the soap saison.
Yeah. There's a few different ones that he could do. But this is not a healthy person, and he might need to be arrested for his own safety. Honestly, I don't think anyone can look at this and be like, yeah, this is going to end well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're recording this at a time in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time of recording, Kirk has now said, I have an announcement to make. Now, he obviously said a whole lot more because the man is very long-winded.
Yeah. So what he's getting at is over the weekend, there's going to be a protest. I'm trying to speak about this as if it's already happened, but we might have to have a little special addendum to this depending on how
what the announcement is.
Yeah. But there was going to be a protest of Minocqua Brewing. So he's trying to throw together a counter protest beer tasting party event at his brewery.
It's going to be a mess.
And he said he was going to have a special like political announcement.
Yeah, he said, and like clockwork, the uneducated local yokel MAGA contingent has decided to protest our tap room tomorrow at noon. And I've decided to turn the tables on them. I'm going to give a free beer tasting to every progressive that shows up tomorrow at 12. And in that beer tasting, I plan to make a big announcement about my political future, as well as educate these smooth-brained cultists about the history of fascism and oligarchy in Germany and America. And that's like 10%. It was a novel that he wrote as well, which was just, a screed of all kinds of other stuff. But we talked about this kind of as a joke.
Yeah.
Like, was it December?
Yeah.
November?
He had hinted about it before. He was like, he didn't like the crop of candidates that were coming out.
Yeah.
And so he thought maybe as the, the spotlight should be on him.
And maybe he said, I've made some good money from this recent outrage. Maybe if I keep this outrage machine going, I can maybe not self-fund, but maybe just redirect a lot of that attention to a super PAC, if you will,
right.
that he controls.
He could theoretically jump into this race with the third best money.
Well, I don't know about that.
Fourth best?
I don't know how much money he has in his PAC.
Sure. But I think you could
but he's donated plenty of money to himself through his PAC.
His response on social is solid. Hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands of likes on most of his posts. Like those could turn into Act Blue small dollar donors. Act Blue has been faking for years now. But even if they go to the Minocqua Brewing Company, the man consults for his own PAC and pays himself. Yes,
with that money.
Yeah,
so
which is illegal in its own right. And something that we hope is investigated by the FBI.
And it would probably come under severe scrutiny if he ran for governor, which is why he should be the Democrat nominee.
100%. Now, my sincere hope is his comments are going to be, his announcement's going to be that he's going to run as an independent progressive or Green Party candidate or so actual funny. Socialist.
Like a farmers part, like the workers party.
Yeah.
That would be actually great.
Yeah. I don't know if we're that lucky, but one of the other things he did, we didn't.
Well, asking you shall be.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
If we have a little addendum to this podcast, it's going to be crazy.
Yes.
But one of the things we didn't cover. So after he got this visit from the FBI and Secret Service, he posted about it. And I'm going to read this post. It's been blurred out. So we wrote about this on the Heartland Post. He wrote this post that said, from the Minocqua Brewing Company, this is the voicemail they left me. Can't attach the actual audio. Working fast here. And he attaches, hi, Mr. Bangstad. My name is Special Agent Wimmer with the U.S. Secret Service. We have some questions. We have some information come to our attention. Honestly, just had a couple of questions that we want to run by you. If you could give me a call back at phone number, repeats the number. Just have a couple of questions. If we could get able to talk this through. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day. Take care. Call this number. And then his response to that is call this number and ask the Secret Service agent to stand down and honor his oath to his country. So what he did there is dox a member of law enforcement.
And then in the comment below.
Yeah.
In the comment below when he was talking, so someone said, so we should call this number? And he said, absolutely. And he, with some flowery language, he's like, yeah, you go and basically harass these people. So was it just like, oh, look at, I just happened to post the phone number, but look at, they're harassing me. He's actively encouraging people to harass the Secret Service, to basically bully them, which of course you're not going to bully the Secret Service.
But it's also a federal crime.
Yeah, it's just in obviously the federal government is probably going to be charitable. Like they don't want to probably have to arrest some guy for just being basically spouting off on Facebook. But this is the problem with social media these days, is that social media often encourages bad behavior, i.e. Candace Owens, for example.
Yeah.
Kirk is like, he's our Candace Owens in a way, where he's getting a lot of attention for being really bad, like just a bad person, saying a lot of bad stuff. It's controversy, it sells. And he's got an incentive to now, I don't know, push the buttons to push it even farther. Frankly, if he gets arrested, the man is going to be on that every progressive podcast.
Yes.
The next day, and instantly becomes I don't want to say instantly becomes a front runner, because he's still a crazy person.
He becomes a folk hero.
He becomes probably more viable than at least two of the candidates currently in the race, aka Missy Hughes and Brett Halsey.
Oh yeah, okay.
That doesn't mean he wins. I'm just saying, like,
he becomes a serious factor.
It's a factor that the Democrats can't, like, all of a sudden brush to the side. Like when we were talking about Kirk in November and December of last year, it's like, it would be funny. Now it's like, oh, he might actually have like a couple $100,000 and poll. If the Marquette Law poll has to poll Kirk Bangstad support, you have problems.
Yeah. So we'll see how his upcoming protest, or the protest and then his counter protest and beer tasting go, and you'll know now if something happens. And then we'll have a whole bunch of content ready for next week. Okay, so we have to cut in here and add a little supplement to the podcast. For those of you who maybe don't know, we traditionally record our podcast on Friday evenings. Rare cases, we do it on Saturday. Last episode, we were able to react to Kirk Bangstad's free beer post after the White House Correspondents' Dinner in real time, because we were recording on a Saturday evening. But for this week's recording, we did it on a Friday before his Saturday event. And as you probably picked up in our conversation from just a couple minutes ago. So now here we are a day later, and Kirk made an announcement that we were maybe a little bit expecting, that he announced he's running for governor. Shadow Gov was monitoring the situation. And in fact, I think because of him, we scooped virtually every news outlet in the state when he posted this at Heartland Post. So Shadow Gov, give us your initial thoughts on Kirk Bangstad's announcement.
Well, I'm a little shocked because I wasn't totally expecting this. He said, I have to talk about my political future tomorrow, as in today, at the time of recording, but I assumed, we're going to use our PAC to invest in local candidates, or, some other reason to, like, maybe not, go for the big one, but still maybe raise some extra money, but apparently he is doing so well with the progressive wing of the party buying his beer that he feels he can run for governor. And, he just came out and said it. He said in an hour-long live stream, which included a band, as well as him singing not the national anthem, but God Bless America, with some of his own additions to the.
Oh boy!
Yeah, it was. He's actually a pretty good singer. Like,
I think he went to Harvard for opera, I think.
Well, I guess
I know
you can tell
he's trained. Yeah,
you can tell he's a good singer. So I'll give him that. He changed the lyrics, of course, to be deprecating, but that's besides the point. But he basically said he is running for governor, and he was upset at Francesca Hong, although he agrees with her 99% on 99% of the issues. He said, she's a bit naive for throwing him under the bus. I'm not advocating for political violence. Free beer is not violent, says someone from the crowd. And then he said that, Mandela Barnes I don't remember the exact words, but it was something like a corporate shill. Not
really?
Quite, but he called him like a corporate Democrat or something. And then he said that, he had called and asked his favorite state senator to run and didn't, or Chris Larson.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I guess, if no one else is going to do it, I'm going to. Now, this all happened in a week. So I'm not, and of course, he just got questioned by the FBI and the Secret Service. So I'm not expecting him to have like a campaign website up immediately, but he still has his like assembly campaign page up, I believe. So I wonder if I wonder if people are going to that and donating potentially, or they're just donating right to the PAC. And I don't even really remember him plugging anything. Like Kirk is not a real politician. I mean, he's just kind of just a guy, which might be, I guess, endearing for those on the left that you like him.
Yeah, I kind of looked for the same stuff. I didn't see any, official announcement, no press release, no updated website, but he did hand out nomination signature papers at the event, and he probably picked up a fair number there. I just, it's Kirk being Kurt. Like, he's faked other things before when he tried to last 4th of July create some sort of protest to stop the parade, and then nothing happened. He said, haha, of course you all fell for it. So part of me wonders if that might be the case here, that he's like, was never really going to run, or if things don't pick up steam for him really quickly, he's going to, or say that he made his point just by getting in the race for a few days or weeks. So I still think there's a chance that like he's not on the ballot come June 1st, that's when nomination signatures are due. But maybe he, if he gets to that 2,000 or, that threshold, hits above that threshold, and we believe he has some PAC money, and he can start that Minocqua Brewing PAC up pretty quickly. I think he'll have to pass it off to someone else since it's a super PAC. But maybe he doesn't realize that yet, and he'll just commit more campaign finance laws violations.
Well, maybe his campaign finance laws would actually come under scrutiny, and someone might actually go through it a little bit in more detail, instead of like, it's just a crazy guy from up north. Like, he's probably breaking some laws, but like we're all kind of shunning him. Just let him do his little thing. He buys his billboards and calls it a day. But I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting him to have everything ready in a week or even a couple of days. And this is just how Kirk is. He's just impulsive, just doesn't really think a whole lot. He's just kind of impulsive and kind of flies by the seat of his pants. And it was a great day online, because when things like this happen, the liberals don't talk. And it's always nice when Twitter is quiet. And my feed isn't filled with liberal slop. And I think the news from Kirk, although not like a doomsday scenario for them in any way, shape, or form, it's annoying. And it's just like another thing to deal with. So I have to say, there's a couple of questions. Does he make the ballot in June? Is he an actual threat? And who does he take votes from if he is on the ballot June 1st?
Yeah, that's certainly a good question, because it's not like that. The progressive lane is wide open. It's in fact incredibly packed. You have Mandela, you have Francesca Hong, you have Kelda Roys, someone who Kirk suggested just a week ago that he would consider supporting. So you have those three, and then he's not going to take the moderate lane. You already have that carved out. Joel Brennan seems to be taking the lead on that one as the boring white guy, as on Milwaukee talked about. So he is jumping, 2 feet into that progressive wing, and he can't outswear Francesca. He could outraise her. Like that, I am interested to see what he can do with his PAC and his. I think, Act Blue has been criticized lately, rightfully so, and investigated for fake donors of those small dollar ones. But I think if there's someone who can actually pull in those small dollar ones, we said about Francesca, I think we say about Kirk too. And I think he has a larger national presence, especially because all of this stuff, he's generated so much controversy, and that it can turn into so many angry far left wackos giving him, somewhere between $5 and $50. He could end up with a solid amount of money, which then, like, I got to ask you, where do you put him in your power rankings?
Probably very second to last still.
Okay.
Just above Missy, because
you say above Missy, not I wasn't sure if you put Halsey in there as above Halsey.
Halsey is just not in the rankings.
Sure.
I mean, that goes without saying. But Missy, then Kirk, then Joel. Just because Joel's got actual money behind him, whereas Kirk this is the thing. Kirk's probably going to do that. He's going to burn very bright, very quickly, and I don't think it's going to be sustainable. Like, do I think he could raise like $100,000 pretty quickly? I think so, but it's going to be all the load. I doubt anyone of like actual importance besides like Penzi Spices or something would like max out to him immediately.
We had a good friend of the show post the Bangstad Penzi 2026 ticket for the Democrats.
Would be electric, but other than that, he's probably just going to rely on like the national fundraise, like just basically the outrage from online, which he's good at. So maybe he just whips up some more controversy. Oh, by the way, here's my Act Blue. So that could work. But then, is he going to actually get anyone of substance, anyone of significance to actually help him? Consult.
No, I think right now Devin Remiker and the Wisdems are calling every major far left progressive in their party and saying, don't listen to this guy. Like they have to be in panic mode right now, just because it's going to be a sugar rush. He's going to burn hot and fast, and he's going to be a big deal. But by June or certainly July, I think he'll be an afterthought.
That is if he even makes the ballot.
Right. If he makes the ballot. And
if he makes the ballot, I'll consider that impressive. Yeah. I would consider that impressive because he's got less than a month, basically.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those progressive kingmakers. Now, Ilhan Omar has already endorsed Francesca, but some of those types that even if they're not elected, like he's going to go on Hassan Piker's podcast, or like they're going to be together. Like he's going to court that side of the vote, and maybe someone like him is going to be like, Kirk's the real deal, and then legitimize him. But we can only hope, as the conservative side, that we get that lucky.
Yeah, and he'll probably. I mean, this is what I think will happen. He'll have enough momentum to get on the ballot. He'll get enough money to basically get his foot in the door, but he's not going to have really anybody of substance actually back him to actually help him out to make a direct impact. He'll just whip up people on Facebook, which might be good for him as far as like selling some beer, but might not be able to actually galvanize enough people to make an impact. And if he does get on the ballot, he's going to get his like 20,000 supporters, and maybe even that's cutting it a little bit, or maybe that's a bit of an over exaggeration. I'm thinking about like Rantham's number, for example. Like I think in the competitive primary, which saw almost 600,000 votes between Rebecca, Tim Michaels, and Rantham. Rantham got like 30,000, and then Michaels and Clayfish had like 235,000 apiece, roughly, or he had a little bit more. So like the 30,000 number seems right, but Rantham was, kind of a household name in certain conservative circles. Kirk is just kind of an online weirdo. So maybe it's all overblown and he'll get like a couple thousand votes and that's it.
Yeah, well, obviously we're going to monitor it this week, and I think we can break this down more in depth come our next episode.
But we should talk for a minute about the candidates who are actually in the race. And the first one is about Tom Tiffany. So AFP has come out with an ad supporting Tom Tiffany. And I think it's just really solid. It's a 30-second spot that is running on, I believe it's actually on TV as well as digital, focusing on taxes, all the things that hit. So we're going to play that quick for you right here.
Wisconsin property taxes are already going to increase for 400 straight years. But the Liberals running for governor won't stop there. Their radical mandates will increase your electric bills by $2,700 a year. A small businessman from northern Wisconsin, Tom Tiffany, will fight for you. He will eliminate the 400-year property tax increase, and he'll lower energy costs for families, farmers, and Main Street. A more affordable Wisconsin. Tom Tiffany for governor.
Just a solid ad. I think that really hits home on what...
Well, affordability is going to be the biggest issue, as it is pretty much every cycle, but this one especially. So, yeah. Good. We need all the ads we can take right now.
And again, it speaks to the way that the grassroots is coalescing behind Tom Tiffany. AFP is probably one of, if not the best grassroots organization in the state and in the country, that they're out there always knocking doors and they're always hosting events. Their grassroots game is incredibly strong. And for them to, again,
they're a little bit of everywhere. They keep busy. And frankly, we need something. I mean, just because we don't have a Republican primary doesn't mean that we can just like sit back and hope things go well. We still have to actively be involved. We still have to actively keep voters engaged, because a primary, yes, it can be divisive, but it keeps people engaged for a long period of time. And if we can't just go into the election all summer, getting a tan on, going up north, going to the Door County, going to Bradford Beach, going to Lake Geneva, going down the Mississippi, whatever you do. You can't just do, and then August 12th comes. Oh, all right, we're running a general now.
Right.
Okay. Because people are, people forget. It's like August, 3 weeks in August, September, October, and you're done. You
couple days in November.
Get basically 3 months.
Yeah.
And really not even 3 months to win the election. It's really like 2 months.
No, and the fact is right now, the front runners, or the people on the Dem side who think they're the front runners, are attacking Tom Tiffany. They're not attacking their opponents with the same ferocity. They are kind of going at each other a little bit. We talked about this on the last episode that still be, they're kind of shanking each other. Yeah.
Still hope for more.
And I was hoping, we talked about this, I think, on the last episode, that there was a women's only, a gals only forum. Now, unfortunately, I think that thing was not only just closed to men, but closed to the public in general. I didn't even see that thing posted on Facebook or anywhere on social media.
No.
There must not have been a recording of it. I wish there was, because I would love to hear Kelda and Francesca in the and Sarah Rodriguez.
I just
together.
I hope that our neighboring sister state, Michigan, rubs off on their Democrat primary for U.S. Senate, rubs on our Democrat governor primary, because the U.S. Senate primary for Michigan is a disaster.
Yes,
it is all over the place. I know, not a Michigan political podcast, but it is just a crap. Every day they're just sniping at each other. There's always something. The Democrats in Wisconsin, a little bit more disciplined, but we'll see.
It's something
time will tell.
We've said this before, is going to have to happen. They're going to have to create some separation between each other. And you do that by going negative. So I think it's a real possibility that that's going to be the case. But, something else that came out of last week that I think was really interesting, and I think the Journal Sentinel actually got this, but Tom Tiffany's campaign had a memo warning Republicans that Hong is a real threat in the governor's race. And they made some comparisons to Mamdani in New York City, as well as Donald Trump, that Francesca Hong could get this populist, left-leaning, and maybe even those kind of that horseshoe end of the right, because politics, it's not a left-right spectrum, it's a horseshoe. And you could get some of those disaffected Republican or conservative-leaning voters who were anti-establishment, pro-Trump people, could come back around for Francesca Hong because of that populist message. And so the idea is that you need to take her seriously.
Well, Francesca Hong's financial policy, which is just free healthcare, expand Badger care, free meals, free universal healthcare, free universal childcare. I mean, what's not popular about that? And to some extent, for like especially younger people, it's like people understand that their parents, in many respects, had it better than they did, or at least that's what they feel. That
yes,
and maybe in some respects it's very true, and I think it is. Maybe not across the board, but they're looking for some alternative, and if the current thing is not doing it, well, people are more willing to explore other options. And yes, there are people think, oh, how can a Trump supporter vote for Francesca Hong? But I saw an interesting thing, and AOC gets a lot of crap, and rightfully so. But I remember she was talking before the 2024 election. She's like, why do you support Trump? It was actually some actual reflection as a Democrat, instead of just being like ostracizing, like just disgusting Trump voter.
Right.
AOC was actually having some reflection, like, why do you support Trump?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people said, like, well, I actually believe what you say. Like, you actually believe what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Both Trump and AOC.
Yeah.
They supported both.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because of some abstract, principled position on taxes or, free markets or something, but just believe that what they said was true. And maybe even if they disagreed on the policy, they believed in the person more than the policy.
Right.
And Francesca, of course, she's got every wrong policy in the book pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But she's believable.
Yeah.
People would have a beer with her. People would be willing to, oh, okay, I kind of get what you're saying. You're saying it differently. This doesn't feel like a politician. I think I can maybe get on board with that. And all you need is enough people to buy into that.
Yeah.
Like Francesca has been seen as the French candidate since she got in.
Yeah.
But if enough people start believing, people want their vote to matter. And they want to bet on the winning horse. Kentucky Derby, obviously, imminent or already passed at this point. But people want to bet on the winning horse. Well, if Francesca is leading the polls, it gives more reason to vote for her.
It's one of those, well, she's leading the poll, and I kind of like what she says, and
but all my friends are voting for her.
Right.
I guess I can vote for her too. And before you know it, you turn a candidate that probably doesn't have a chance in any other midterm. Can actually win.
Right. 100%. And, she is talking about those kitchen table issues, those working class voter issues. And yeah, she can be believable. And God, it must be so easy to be a Democrat. Like if you're a Democrat politician, it has to be the easiest thing in the world because you can say, I want to give you free stuff all the time. So anyone who comes in your office and they're like, we'd like this, you'd say, yes. And then Molly Beck and Jesse Apoyne at the Journal Sentinel are your dutiful stenographers who are just going to be like, of course we'll print this for you. And then this gives us an excuse. And this is what came out of this Tiffany memo is this gives us an excuse to write a 1,000-word or, 15 paragraph, flowery, amazing profile of you that will get you actually some clothes that fit right and give you the right kind of lighting that makes you look professional and not, a schmuck that wears a beanie and joggers and sliders to all of your events.
Well, first of all, this memo, there's so many, it's just one memo, but it really has a huge impact because I think partly the memo's true. Like you have to take her seriously. I know it's really easy for Republicans to be like, haha, she wants to like allow kids to get trans. Like there's no way they'll vote for that.
Right.
But people don't understand that politics can be like voters have the, gold, the memory of a goldfish and so many things can change so quickly. So never count that out. That's what people did with Trump in 2016.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to repeat that. So heed the call. This is 100% dangerous. Okay. We have to be very, very cognizant of where we're at. However, if you're a Democrat, okay, she's getting a profile. She's the number one target. Some of the Democrats have got to, get going here. And I think this gives permission to some Democrats, like, okay, this is real. They are, Tiffany's considering her the front runner. She's leading the polls.
We got to knock her down.
Something's changing. Like we can't just. When is the time? Is it going to be coordinated? It seems like no one wants to cast the first stone. Also, we said this before. Are they going to have a debate? Because that would probably settle a lot of stuff. Are they going to have a debate, or is it just going to be forums all day?
And women only forums, or minority only forums, or whatever you got. Like just all these little subdivided categories of the Democratic Party.
Can a guy get a debate, please?
Yes, because at some point, yes, I think there almost have to be this coordinated, like someone. Metaphorically, I say this metaphorically, but like you get Missy Hughes to strap on the suicide vest and go, like what Chris Christie tried to do.
Yeah,
to what was
basically was only in the race to try to ruin Trump.
Yeah, and he decided instead to like put a suicide vest onto himself and bomb another candidate, and it took him down too. That's what you'd need. You almost need this coordinated thing, and I think you're looking at someone like Missy. Kelda's not going to do it because Kelda still thinks she's the front runner.
Well, I think. In the power rankings, Kelda's still up there because of that WEAC endorsement. And that's enough Dem establishment that, that takes away from probably like Sarah Rodriguez and stuff, the kind of the normie vote.
Right.
I'm still wondering whether Tony plays a hand in any of this. He says he's not going to endorse,
Mm-hmm.
but the dynamics here are just fat. I hope everyone loves this as much as I do. Tony says he's not going to endorse.
Yeah.
His lieutenant governor should be the obvious choice, right? She's
Yeah.
probably the most electable. She's the obvious choice. She's the lieutenant governor, but he hates her. His team hates her.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious. And they're not hiding it either. He clearly wants Crowley, but Crowley, who?
Crowley, I've said this before. He was running the campaign not of a black Milwaukee leader, but of a white woman.
It's just there's no traction. There's no, it's just kind of listless. And that's who Tony actually wants.
Mm-hmm.
But do you endorse a losing horse?
Right.
And even if Tony endorses him, is that enough to even win?
It doesn't bring him into the top 3 in the polls.
Like if he endorses Sarah, that might actually push her over the edge.
Yeah. But, and Kelda's got that WEAC endorsement, which is money and bodies.
I love it. I want everyone. We will never have a Democrat primary for governor or probably any office of magnitude quite like this. It will never happen again. So we'll never say never, but like 95% chance.
It's a rarity.
Live in it right now.
Yeah.
Grasp every moment. Never stop believing. It is beautiful. And I know everyone likes to doom about the midterms, but this might be our saving grace.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have to talk about one of the other candidates then, since we've kind of brought him up already. So I wrote about this recently in the Heartland Post that Joel Brennan has a dream, and it's because he went on Kristen Lyerly's podcast, and she asked him, what's it like to be a white man in the governor's race, which is crazy considering every person before him
was a white guy.
Exactly. So this actually comes out of the Milwaukee Courier, and someone who is just probably the worst writer there, Drake Bentley, who was talking about Joel Brennan having to deny a report that he's touting himself as the only white man in the race. So now it's gone from him having a dream of being someone who's chosen based off the content of his character and his vision. Now he's actually saying, hey, guys, don't forget the white man here.
He's a white identitarian.
Yeah. You're saying it's some sort of white national?
No, I didn't say that. It's just odd that it's so pitiful that the identity politics is just so toxic over there that this is what he has to do.
Yeah. But there was a column from Bruce Murphy at Urban Milwaukee that says that Joel Brennan has a possible advantage because he is a quote-unquote centrist Democrat and a white male. Murphy quotes an anonymous Democrat consultant that told the outlet both Joel and Chuck used that language, white centrist, directly pitching to Chuck being Chuck Pruitt, the longtime Democrat Party insider who was a friend and advisor to the late Senator Herb Kohl. Pruitt did not respond to voicemail from the Milwaukee Courier, but now people have gone to Joel Brennan saying that he's touting himself as being white as a reason to vote for him. Just crazy stuff coming out of, again, the identity politics of the Democrat primary.
Cancer that I hope eats them alive, because it is so incredibly sad that they have to just pander to race. And Joel Brennan, maybe in another election, like maybe he's walking away with this.
If it was 1998.
But there are so many absolute low T, beta, just Democrat, in quotation marks, men that would be like, oh, I just can't vote for that. I need to vote for the female candidate or the female of color candidate. They love that stuff. I'm sorry, Joel. You might have, and Joel got that illustrious endorsement of Brad Pfaff, fellow
boring white man.
Yeah, from Western Wisconsin. Nothing that there's anything wrong with the boring white man. I am one myself.
But there is something to be said about that. I don't know if you're going to bring this up.
Go ahead.
Brad Pfaff represents southwestern Wisconsin, which includes Missy Hughes' area. He skipped his neighbor to go for the Milwaukee white male Democrat. Now he's, again, the boring white guy endorses boring white guy isn't a big deal. But I think Missy losing the endorsement of someone who, has,
she had a path,
but he's her representative in the Senate. You would have thought there might have been a chance that she could have swung that one.
Yeah, but does Joel Brennan just go like full rural now and just try to get the white rural vote and try to just pump up and just like not get killed in Milwaukee? basically.
Yeah.
I mean, he could
It's a strategy.
he could just spend his money, outstate and just
win Ashland, Superior, and Bayfield.
I mean, he's going to have a decent amount of money, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his
average dollar money goes a lot farther
up north.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he could just try to get the rural vote and just pull Tony.
At this point, we should be charging him money for our consulting efforts.
This isn't anything crazy. And I mean, he's from the Milwaukee area, but
and has Madison ties too.
I just don't I don't think that oh my gosh, the Milwaukee voters are going to, he's a Milwaukee guy, I'm going to vote for him.
Because they got two other Milwaukee guys in the race that look more like a Milwaukee voter than he does.
Yeah, yeah. So the average Milwaukee voter. So this is not a big thing in Milwaukee for him to win, but I think outstate he could potentially do some damage. But again, another thing I'm waiting for is the reporting. I want to see the money. I want to see who's reporting what money, because that'll tell us so much. So July or June, end of June,
and
something around then, we'll know more.
So we got to shift gears a little. We have to talk about one thing that we've posted on the Heartland Post about, but we've talked about it in private a couple times, and I think we have a couple different takes on this one. But Milwaukee is trying to ban food trucks, and they're also figuring out that borders work and fences work. So as we've kind of talked about before, the city of Milwaukee, especially their downtown area, the Water Street, Old World Third area, that entertainment district has seen a lot of crime. There's a shooting at that. I think one of the first things we ever posted with the Heartland Post was we covered this, and I wrote something. It was my first opinion piece. There was as goes Water Street goes Milwaukee. Like the entertainment district is where folks like me from the suburbs go before an Admirals game or for a Bucks game, Marquette game. Like it's where you go.
So you pay the sales tax.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to go down there now because of
what's the incentive?
Yeah, and so Alderman Bob Bauman, who looks like he sells used cars. Looks as shady as you think he probably is. Not saying he gets cuts of the food truck money, but if that came out to be true, you wouldn't find me surprised. Wants to put up fences like they use that. He'd asked about it. Would they look like these big, nasty, evil-looking steel fences from the Republican National Convention, or can we put up some sort of fence around Water Street to keep the riffraff out?
Or keep it
hopefully out. But
I'm locked out. It's like the Punisher. You're locked in here with
me. And so that was approved by the Public Works Committee to develop a formal plan for hard security perimeters around the bars, which I think also includes like the metal detectors and all those military style checkpoints. Because I know a few of the bars down there have those things now. But while that was going on, city officials adopted regulations regarding food trucks. So the Milwaukee Common Council passed, and Cavalier Johnson signed an ordinance requiring all downtown food trucks to close by 10 p.m. instead of the previous 1 a.m. That's something, what we should really crack down on is the people leaving the bars getting food on their way back home. That is not the people who are coming down there and causing the problems. Now, I have fond memories. One of my favorite places to go was this little food truck called American Gyros. Now it's long gone, but those guys were awesome. I'm hungry right now thinking about it. It's like a fully loaded gyro. They put hot sauce. They put French fries on it. It was amazing. And I would go there while some of my friends would go to a place called Arts Performance Center. And it was not my jam. So I would go to Duke's, which was next door. RIP to my godfather's son, who was the manager there for a long time. I'd go sit there and eat my gyro and have a couple beers while all of my friends were
after bar close.
No, it was at a reasonable time of night. Sometimes I'd start my night and end it with a Marquette gyro, or with an American gyro. Did I say Marquette? I say American. It's American gyro.
American.
Oh, it's delicious. So I have these fond memories of that. It's been a long time since I went down there to do those sorts of activities. But I think closing the food trucks at 10 p.m. is just a ridiculously stupid idea.
So I have so many thoughts, and I'm trying to think of a way to try to condense them. First of all, I have many thoughts on all of the situation. First being, I like the idea of hard measures, like a wall. Like, sure, I don't care. Like, it's annoying that we can't have a high trust society where we don't need those things. But if it means that we're not going to have criminals like bringing guns into bars, I suppose. Or I'm just not going to. But it will probably scare some people. Like, I just won't go downtown then.
Sure.
You know? But Wisconsin and, well, I should say Milwaukee Democrats will do anything besides just throw criminals in prison. Just throw the book at these people. And they can't. They can't. They won't. They don't have the fortitude to do it. They don't have the political fortitude. Like, the constituency wants stuff to be better on Water Street, but I don't think they have the stomach for what is probably going to be needed, which means locking up a lot of young people, you know? And this kind of dovetails into like the whole street takeover stuff. Like,
which they just arrested that guy.
They arrested the guy that was organizing, but every car, throw the driver,
tow an impound,
arrest the driver. Like, these people, they act with impunity because you allow them to. Now, I think we've maybe discussed in the past that obviously urban policing is tough because a lot of their resources, it's just tough. There's, we can go back to George Floyd and the amount of damage that did to policing and staffing levels for police. So that's tough, but you can police your way out of these things. We've been told we can't do that, and we have to do restorative justice, and we have to, quote, as Hong likes to say, we have to give them stuff to do. Okay, which maybe that wasn't Hong that said it, but there was some prominent Democrat, or they've said it before, like, just give them programming and they won't commit crime. Which you guys have basically full control of the government there, local government. Like, okay,
and you have a black mayor, a black county executive, and a black police chief. Like,
figure it out.
Yeah, go down there. I want to see the mayor down there at 10 p.m.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
I mean, and if it doesn't, then and I'm not pretending, like, there's probably not like one easy way to fix all this, but surely what they were doing is.
But ruining small businesses is not the way to do it.
Well, and that's where you might be wrong. No, okay. Okay, I have kind of a weird take. Yes, it is stupid to ban food trucks after a certain time because the food trucks are not causing people to commit crimes.
Right.
It's not like you eat the American Euro and then you say, that 7-Eleven looks like it needs to be robbed,
right.
However, there is an argument to be made that, if bar closes at 2 a.m. and then people are at the food trucks around 11, 3 a.m. Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 3 a.m. You got loitering. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's like 4 a.m. Like, the people that are out at 4 a.m. probably is up to nothing good.
Yeah.
And if people are drunk, have weapons, like, it's just bad things can happen. Again, it's not necessarily the food truck's fault. And maybe they would just go to other businesses that are open potentially. But, and I haven't been downtown in a good amount of time, so I don't even know when they wrap up. Do they wrap up at 3? Do they go till 4?
I haven't been out at bar close, and
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't even know. Maybe they wrap up shop at 2:33. I don't know. But if it's like 4 or something, like, I don't know. I genuinely agree. We shouldn't ban food trucks because it's not the actual problem. The problem is the actual people committing the crimes, and those people should be arrested, prosecuted, and thrown away for an extended period of time instead of being let out and allowed to. No tolerance. Allow these people to understand that you mean business. But there is something to be said about loitering and problems. I mean, what? Should we just allow people to loiter around Quick Trips till 3, 4 in the morning? I mean, they have signs that say no loitering.
Yeah, but the Quick Trips there's no Quick Trip in the Milwaukee County.
Gas stations, no loitering around gas stations.
Well, the thing is, there are brick and mortar restaurants that are like the short order places. I think one of them, if it's still there, I hope it is. Another place I go to is called Brick 3. It's a pizza place, one of those ones where they make the giant slice. It's like Ian's. You make the giant slice, they throw it in the heater for a couple minutes. It comes out, you get your pizza. I think that those places are open till 3, if not 4 in the morning. This is without looking that.
You know what I do know
is
open till 3? Chopsticks.
Golly.
Great
Pizza Shuttle's
institution.
right there too. That's probably open till 3.
I don't think so.
No, they had some trouble.
I don't think
They had
so.
some problems. They shut it down.
See, no, I know a little. I knew a little Milwaukee
we
flow.
could spend sometime. We'll spend an entire time talking about the restaurants in the city of Milwaukee that I used to go to.
I know the Better Wisconsin Together, or whatever.
Yeah.
Democrats are listening like, oh, they're just the conservative guys. They're scared to go to downtown.
Oh man, I used to do it. I was just I'm not scared. I'm just old.
I don't want to get shot, but I do love chopsticks.
Yeah, I mean, I loved going to Red Rock, and like I wouldn't go to Water Street side anymore. I'd stay on the Old World third side.
I don't know.
You should listen to live music there, but yeah,
there's plenty of other places that are like way better, that are closer.
But as we wrap this up, I do want to highlight someone who she shared this with us. She's got a really interesting WordPress blog. So it's called Wonder Woman Speaks. And on X, she's known as Wonder4Woman70. We've been following her for a while, but she wrote a long piece about this. Just a proud Black conservative writing, and do want you to check that out. We'll link to it in the show notes and all those sort of things, and you can find it on our X page.
We're talking about the food trucks.
Yeah,
and,
she wrote
crime,
a long
downtown.
thing about that. So check that out. And with that, I do want to get to a really cool thing we did this week. So I had a chance to sit down with Nate Pollnow, who's running for Secretary of State, and we're going to get into this interview in just a minute. He is a really cool guy. We talk just as much about, politics and policy and his goals for an office that is largely ceremonial as we do. He's an auctioneer. He's a beef farmer. So we talk a little bit about, raising cattle, raising animals on his barn, and what it's like to be an auctioneer and how you go through that process. But really cool dude. I think you're going to like this. So check that out. We're going to play it for you right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the New Fashion Conservatives podcast. I'm Justin Phillips, and with me today we have a very special guest, someone who's running for Wisconsin's Secretary of State, Nate Pollnow. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's my privilege to be here, I guess. This is wonderful.
Yeah, so I got to know you, Nate, a little bit. I think we met earlier this year, maybe for the first time. I can't recall, but at a YR event, we ended up talking racing more than we talked about any political stuff.
Well, people are real. If we all talk about politics all the time, we'll lose our minds. So let's talk about the fun stuff.
Yeah, so tell us, though, how's the campaigning going so far?
I think it's going very well. Warmly received where we're going. We're starting to branch outside of the Republican Party now and go and see chambers of commerce and things like that. Just really meeting the people, and they are liking the message.
Excellent. So we should start with your background. You're a second-generation beef farmer, auctioneer, and small business owner. You're from the Dodge County area. Grew up on your grandma's farm in Washington County. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so my dad was a part-time farmer, I guess, and we grew up on a corner of grandma's farm in Town Erin, and when dad came out, evident dad wasn't going to buy it, he bought his own. So he moved us out to Dodge County. So when I was 13 years old, we moved to the farm that I now own and live on. I'm proud to raise my kids on. So he always had like 10 steers. I have like 30. And we sell farm to table beef and some other products too, chicken eggs and duck eggs. And, the kids are into all that stuff. The 4-H thing will get you. And I'm a sucker for my kids.
That's fantastic. Now, I am someone who just doesn't quite have the freezer space right now for a quarter or half a cow, but definitely when I want it. So one of the funny things about that, though, so I worked on a campaign for a guy named Ed Brooks, who was a dairy and farmer in western Wisconsin. He told me once that they only take the nice cows to the state fair. Apparently cows have a bunch of different personalities. So,
absolutely. My daughter right now is raising Jeff for the county fair, and Jeff is about as docile as they come. It's hard to light a fire to get him up, even to go eat some days. He just plods along and put his halter on, and he's cool. He'll go anywhere.
Oh, that's excellent. Good for Jeff. Great name for a cow. So let's talk a little bit more about your family. So your wife, Esther, you've been married for 20 years now. You got 2 kids. Tell us, about the family life and what it's like on a farm.
Yeah, so my wife and I were married for 10 years before we decided to have kids, almost 10 years. And we decided to have kids after we were able to move to the farm. I had a home in town. My wife's a transplant here to Wisconsin. So maybe, coming from the city to a smaller town was better than the city straight to the farm. But we waited a few years to have kids, and now we got Charlotte and Willie, and they're 8 and 12, and they're a blessing. I mean, you can't say anything more than that, having them around. My daughter is really geeking out on the animals, and she's the reason we have sheep now. So I put a lot of blame on her, because if it wasn't for her, I couldn't say this line. And this is my favorite line. We are now officially one camel shy of a live nativity scene.
That's awesome. That is super cool. So you also served as the chairman in the town of Elba. Can you talk a little bit about your local government service and that experience and how it carries into a statewide race?
Well, I think that's important to point out. The fiscal responsibility that you learn. Everybody can manage their own. Well, not everybody, but most people can manage their own finances, and that's pretty easy to do. And you learn to make it work. But then when you become the chair, I was there for 3 years, and you start looking at other people's money, and you have to have a different reverence for other people's money when you're doing that, and prioritizing things. I believe a lot of government should be about fire protection and police protection and making sure the roads are good. And then after that, getting the heck out of the way.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I know from local experience here that I think police and fire and that infrastructure is most, if not, a solid majority, if not the totality of a lot of small village and town governments.
Mm-hmm.
So for listeners who may not know, and, when we had John Leiber on recently, he explained that if you know the job of one state treasurer, the job of one state treasurer. The role of Secretary of State has kind of been largely ceremonial. You handle official records, the Great Seal, filing rules and laws. So how do you view the office's importance, and why do you think it still matters in 2026?
Hey, that's a great question, because it does still matter. A couple of years ago, we tried to get rid of it, and honestly, I supported that, and as I've done my research and found out there's some ceremonial stuff on putting the Great Seal on things. But more than that, being the official records keeper gives us an opportunity to really push on government transparency and make sure that the people know what's happening in their state government. Where's that money going? Who has the governor pardoned? I mean, right now we're looking at a governor that's pardoned over 2,000 people, and he's making a commutation board to let more people out of prison. And why are we doing that? And if we are going to do that, let the people know what those people did, the criminals did, and where they're going in the community. Or recently, the administration raised cattle sale barn fees 1,700%. I know this has made some other headlines in that, but I can't tell you how important it is that that's happening, because that's where we can actually push back as a people on our government. 1,700%. You can't tell me that doesn't raise the price of beef in the store, which is high enough right now for the consumer. Being a farmer, I like the high price because I'm making a little bit more money there, but it causes other problems too. So. But that raises the price of beef in the store. It raises the price of growing that beef and marketing that beef and getting it to the people that ultimately need it. So yeah, we need to know what's going on there and give some pushback to that. License fees, how many plumbers, electricians, auctioneers, believe it or not, have to be licensed, barbers. When our prices go up for that, we have to charge more. So let's make sure that the people know that and are aware of what's going on.
I gotta ask about this auctioneer. So is that specifically to the farm and cattle industry or livestock industry, or do you do all sorts of cars and whatnot.
So most of my business is cars.
Okay.
I used to have a farm and estate auction business. My business partner passed away. He was a great guy, took me under his wing, got me started in the auction business, actually, because I cleaned his horse stalls. He had race horses, and I was 13 years old and cleaned his horse stalls. You can, about the memes write themselves, and so I should be set for government. I figured I should be able to know how to clean out the manure.
Yeah.
But that morphed into a great career. I was able to start my own business when I was 16 years old in the car industry, and actually sold the farm part of it to hit back to his family. When he passed, it was just a great opportunity. They wanted to keep it in the family. He had started that business 50 years ago ish, and great family, still work with them today a little bit. So, but most of mine is dealer to dealer wholesale car exchange auctions.
All right.
So I work 6 of those a week, and it's a really good deal. I work a couple hours and go, show up with a microphone and go back home.
And so the training for that, did you just naturally learn to talk fast, like the ability to kind of go point to things and see who's bidding? And that actually it seems like it takes a lot more than what you see in that moment.
What you see is the easy part.
Oh, okay.
The setup for an auction is quite involved, but the training itself is, I think I went to a 9-day auction school. That didn't make me good. That made me so I didn't make mistakes and get myself in legal trouble.
Got it.
Just a ton of practice, counting, and everybody says, well, yeah, I can count. What's the big deal? Okay, can you count backwards from 100 by 3? Without stopping and pausing. Or the other part about it is they teach you tongue twisters. A real popular one they teach you is called Betty Botter, and it's Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. It's a little longer than that, but
it's very impressive.
Yeah, it teaches you a rhythm. So,
that's cool. That's
story on it.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So, shifting back to Secretary of State stuff, you kind of mentioned the transparency. I know you went to Sarah Godlewski's office and found out she actually doesn't work during the day. What was that experience like? How'd you come up with that and figure out that she's not there?
I was down in Madison for about the 3rd time this year, which was more time than I've ever spent in Madison, to be honest. Probably a good thing, which I would say qualifies you for politics probably more than anybody understands. But I was down in Madison for a thing, and I went, well, I'm across from the Capitol. Let's go down. I should get my picture in front of the Secretary of State's office. I walked down there and showed up. I wasn't there. They weren't open. Really? And I looked, I was 12-1. We're not open during the day. Anyhow. And it's like, well, I'm running a business. I'm going to answer my phone or be at the office from 9 to 5. But there was nobody there to answer the phone. And if you're going to argue that this position is relevant, let's argue that it's relevant and be there and put in the time. Not to be able to rotate staff over a lunch break. Depending on the day, they have between 2 and 6 staff members in there, but that's always relevant. You should be open when people need you, and people who work have time at lunch because they'll take their lunch and run down and do paperwork. So,
it's a great way to look at it. So, one of the things I know the Secretary of State's office does is they chair the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands, and that is overseeing 70,000 acres of land and 1.6 billion in funds. You said that the management seems to benefit Dane and Milwaukee County disproportionately. How would you kind of approach that office or the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands to kind of go throughout the state?
Well, so the management itself is about making sure we're getting as much money out of that as possible. And I think that's important because that money then goes to the Common School Fund. And the Common School Fund is mostly pays for libraries and things inside our public schools. And so let's make sure that that money is equally distributed. You know, if the land is in northern Wisconsin, it's not on the tax rolls there, so they're going to be a little short there. They need to get that money back, you know, to help fund their schools. That's what it's about. I know there are more schools in Milwaukee and Madison, but they already take the lion's share from other sources too. So let's make sure we're taking care of rural Wisconsin.
I get it. Yeah. And as someone, you know, working on that dairy farm, or, you know, the dairy industry or the livestock industry, you know a thing or two about rural Wisconsin.
Yeah. I've spent vast majority of my life in rural Wisconsin, either with a pitchfork or a shovel in my hand. They've grown over the years, though.
Right. And that's what you need for Madison, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So go ahead.
Nope.
I was going to say, you know, they always say manure runs downhill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Secretary of State's office is in the basement of the Capitol. Better send somebody in who knows how to run a shovel.
So you have talked about wanting to turn the Secretary of State's office into a watchdog for taxpayers and cut through bureaucratic nonsense. So if elected, what would you define as success with that? And, you know, kind of what's your vision?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is take the Secretary of State's website. Right now, it reads more like a campaign ad for our current secretary. Kind of sad. It should be about government function and who you need to call and when you need something. You know, if you need to call the DOT for whatever reason, there's like 20 numbers. Mm-hmm. What does each number get you? You know, that way that we see how bills become law and what's happening with them as far as what they're going to do to us. Because I most of the time I say bills or laws don't do things for us; they do to us. So let's make the Secretary of State's office a resource for the common man to understand how the government's working, and that would be success to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So one thing that stands out to me is interesting is this is probably the first time in decades where we haven't had an incumbent Secretary of State from either party in line. So, you know, I would like to ask, you know, what separates you from your opponents, just not on just the right, but on the left too? Because I know, like you said, when it's an office that doesn't necessarily have clearly defined rules, that even though, you know, the partisanship of the person in charge, you know, what separates you from your opponents?
Well, first things first is there shouldn't be a lot of partisanship in this office. You know, main duties are just office type duties, you know, just executing them well and making sure people are getting taken care of, and then organizing. Many of my opponents talk about things they want to bring into the Secretary of State's office. If the legislature and the governor go, yep, he's our guy, we're going to put something there, he's going to take care of it well because he knows how to do things. Yeah, we're going to tackle him and we're going to do him right. But I'm not looking for more work. I mean, honest to God truth, I don't need this job. I want to make Wisconsin better. And so I work every day. You know, I have things to do that make me money. This is a deal where my opponents need the job. They're working, looking for jobs. I'm not looking for a salary per se. I'm looking for the betterment of Wisconsin.
Yeah, you're doing it for the service.
Yes.
Exactly. That's a great perspective to have. And, you know, I've noticed, and I'm not, you know, criticizing any of the other candidates, but I have seen, and it comes from national figures as well. In a lot of states, the Secretary of State's office handles elections. And in the state of Wisconsin, it doesn't. So even when there's national figures that come in and want to criticize the election, they immediately go to, where's the Secretary of State's office at? Do you think would you be welcoming to those additional opportunities if the legislature chose to kind of put some more responsibilities in the office?
Absolutely. We're going to handle anything that they throw at us. There's, because, you know, although I'd be the figurehead and I'd be the guy in charge, I'm going to build a team that's competent and knowledgeable for whatever duties that are thrown at us, and we're going to make sure they get done right. If, like you said, elections, we'll clean up voter rolls. To me, that's a no-brainer. But it's not there, so I don't focus on it per se. Great, we'll do it.
Right.
Not afraid of it, but it's not there. So let's focus on what it can do today. I don't like to make promises I can't keep. So I'm not campaigning on, I'm going to clean up our elections. I'm campaigning on, I'm going to make government easy to reach. Transparent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. When you have someone who's running and says things, and again, this isn't a criticism of the other candidates. This is national figures coming in and trying to blame a certain office for wanting to do something that is outside of their control. I appreciate someone who's going to come in and say and do things that are inside their control currently, as opposed to making grand promises. Which I think I think we can all agree that too many politicians make these grand promises that they can't quite fulfill because they don't have the duties and responsibilities. So, Nate, we do ask all the candidates that come on our show 3 big questions, and love to hear your answers on this one. So if you could pick an iconic Wisconsin spot, whether it's a brewery, supper club, tailgate, to hold a voter rally, where would it be? Tell us what it would look like. What do you want to talk to voters about?
For me, it's going to be in a supper club because you probably can't tell on the camera, I am not a small man. Food is very important to me, and I love a good steak. So we're going to have a rally in a supper club, and everybody's going to get a good old big slice of prime rib or ribeye steak, and they're going to enjoy it. Because if you're not going to enjoy it, it's not worth having. A nice rare to medium rare, juicy a piece of meat. And then we're going to talk about the politics of the day and how we're going to solve the world's problems. Because I would rather sit at a table and move from table to table and maybe have dinner 5 times throughout the night, the way it works, as I talk to people face to face. So definitely a supper club.
Man, so not only did you hit a beef farmer who would say that he wouldn't have steak for his meal, that would be shocking. And then to say
right.
You want it medium rare, perfect temperature. You know how to cook things too. You've got it all down from the birth of the cow to the dinner plate. You know how to do it.
I know what I like.
Yeah. So you grew up in on the farms, so growing up or serving in Wisconsin, what's one lesson from the state, whether it's your family farm or a small town festival or a hunting trip that shaped your conservative approach to leadership?
Preparation. On the farm, everything takes preparation. You don't pull the corn planter out of the shed in the spring and go and plant corn. In the fall, you're ordering your fertilizer, doing soil samples, ordering your seed, picking your variety. Well, it's cold out. You're changing the oil in the tractor. You're greasing the corn planter. You're oiling the chains. You're doing upgrades to make your job easier and make things better. And then everybody sees the day you pull it out of the shed, drop the pin in it, and go and plant corn, and it goes smoothly. So preparation makes life smoother. And so as we've run this campaign, preparation has made this campaign smoother. Part of that, is putting the right people in place that are helping you, finding the right people that know campaigns. I don't know campaigns. I'm a farmer and an auctioneer. Sometimes I'm just the pretty face, I'm the salesman, I guess. But the behind the scenes that go into everything that make life easy is the big lesson I've learned.
Yeah.
Cattle don't get sick if you keep them clean.
Nice. No, you're right. There's so much that goes into a campaign that you don't see when you're meeting a candidate, whether it's at the doors or whether you're going to a Pints in Politics or a Rotary event, a Chamber of Commerce event. That's a 1 hour or 45-minute snapshot into a campaign, and there's so much more that goes into it than that. So you understand that.
Yep.
Yeah. So final question.
Okay,
final
go ahead.
question. You get to wave a magic wand, set a day one policy, or roll back a progressive policy without worrying about how to do it as the Secretary of State, or how to get the votes. So whether it's anything from the taxes, regulations to woke gender, language, and administrative rules, what's one policy you'd set on day one or something you'd roll back?
There's so many of those that are just like, okay, let's do it right away. I mean, the woke stuff, I think when we really look at what, if we just have our druthers on something, I would love to see our schools, give them the wish lists and then clean them up, so that we're teaching math and science and reading, so that our kids can learning how to learn for themselves and make lifetime learners instead of teaching them how to think. And I think that would be a wonderful thing that we could do for Wisconsin, but that's a generational thing on how we're training our teachers and that. So yeah, if I could snap my fingers, I would love to see my kids, being able to learn how to learn, not what to learn.
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent. So Nate, final question for the audience, for you. Where can folks go to find out more about you? Social media.
NatePollnow.com. That's our website. They wanted to keep it simple, so I didn't forget it. So NatePollnow.com, Pollnow for Wisconsin on Facebook, and then all the other social medias that go along with it. I like to make videos on Monday morning or Monday afternoon of what I'm doing around the farm and how it relates to the day's news and politics. So you get to meet a lot of my animals. We've had videos with my hound dog, Alice. And we've had videos with baby lambs and ducks and cows and the donkey. I think I did once. So
nice. I've shown those to my kids. They one of them's really obsessed with farms and wants to see those animals. And even we drive by a house really close to us that just looks like a barn, and they want to go see the animals there, even though it's a car shed. But yeah, I'll have to see if I could bring my kids up sometime. You hold a fundraiser at your place, we'll be there and looking at
we get a little warmer out and we'll fire up the grow some brats, some of our brats from right here on the farm and do that and bring the kids out. We'll let them ride the donkey maybe if he's not too stubborn that day.
I know they would love that, and that would be so much fun. So Nate, thank you for taking the time today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So Nate, on behalf of the New Fashion Conservatives, I'm Justin Phillips. We have I screwed things up. 3, 2, 1. So Nate, on behalf of the New Fashion Conservatives, I'm Justin Phillips. We really appreciate you taking the time today to sit down with us, and look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail and hanging out at your farm.
Thanks for having me.
And with that, folks, hope you enjoyed the interview. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you again for everyone who's tuned in for the first time recently, as well as our OG listeners for making this pod well beyond the expectations we had for it going in. It is super successful, and we're super happy that you're here with us. If you like what you hear, make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. We'll read your reviews on air if you write one down. So if you want more content, check out what we're writing at Heartland Post. Shadow Gov, you have anything you want to plug from the Heartland Post that you wrote recently that you want to tell the listeners about?
Well, I mean, if they are interested in terrorism, not performing it, but preventing it, I did a little thing about stochastic terrorism, which essentially is just not the explicit call to violence, but kind of an implicit call, or basically when people on the left demonize you, vilify you, ruin you, like try to basically dehumanize you to the point that you aren't human. And well, the logical conclusion is what happens to Nazis? What happens to fascists? Well, we don't like them, and we are going to do what we did to them in World War II, which is unalive them. So that's kind of the general premise, and it talks about the greater problems in the country regarding it. But got some other stuff working in the hopper. So
yeah, make sure to check out our writing there. And of course, if you want to learn more about us or have any questions, hit us up via email at newfashionpod@gmail.com. Find us on Rumble, YouTube, and Substack at New Fashion Conservatives. You can find the Shadow Gov on X at Robin_Voss_Stan. I'm Justin E. Phillips on X, and the pod is New Fashion Pod. Have a great Monday and a great May.